Let's now take you through the front pages of Nigerian newspapers, looking at the headlines. And when we return, we'll bring you some analysis of some of the issues we'll be seeing right here. The Nation newspaper is up first. Tinubu, Kaduna rising again after overcoming insecurity. A good way to challenge the challenges that came up in Kaduna State. The Guardian newspaper would be our next as we see something right here. Violent attacks, peacetime killing, question value of Nigerian life. This is something I'm really interested in, and we will talk about that as it concerns different issues in the country. Daily Independent, and we see a rising insecurity. Tinubu, NAS have failed Nigerians. This is quoting SMBLF. I'm trying to look at the full meaning of that, but we'll let you know who is saying this, that the President and the National Assembly has failed Nigerians. The News Direct is next, and this is quoting the DHQ, the Defense Headquarters. We have rescued 5,365 individuals, neutralized 6,260 security threats in 2 years. The NAR, or the DHQ, is giving themselves a scorecard of what they've done in terms of insecurity. The Daily Trust is our next this morning. And right there, we are seeing Tinubu to choose running mate after convention. Quoting the presidency. All right. The Blueprint newspaper, as we look at what makes the headline right there, Kaduna Light Rail gets FG's 100 billion naira as Tinubu commissions a 300-bed hospital, 100 CNG buses in Kaduna. Good times, good times, good times. Nigerian Tribune is our next paper. And the FCT commissionings are still taking place there. But Tinubu admits missing some names on Democracy Day, confers CFR on Dangiwa Umar. All right, good one right there for them families. I'm hoping I'd get one myself.
Well, just work hard.
Indeed. This Nigeria is where we are going to next. And we see right here, food inflation, state governors move to scrap illegal checkpoints, multiple levies. We can't wait for that to really happen. The Platform Times, as we see what is making the headlines right there. NGF raises alarm over soaring food prices. We've been talking about this quite a number of times. Blames illegal checkpoints, taxes, and poor infrastructure. They are blaming that is the cause. Really? Okay. We'll dissect into that very soon. And the Sporting Life would be the only paper on sport. Galatasaray versus Boost. We have made the highest offer to Osimhen. If Osimhen does not want to come and make it to me. But this morning on the table, I have Toma and Veronica, who will be joining me to do business to these matters. Toma, the Nation newspaper is up first, and Tinubu is saying Kaduna is rising out of the scum of insecurity. And
Mr. President paid glowing tributes and accolades to Ubasani, the governor of Kaduna State, telling him that he is the architect of this peace that Kaduna is enjoying. You remember, southern Kaduna was a hotbed. There were killings here and there that people really couldn't place a finger on. Is it religious killing? Is it political killing? Is it what is going on there? It was a whole lot of confusion then. And the new governor came and everything is calm and quiet.
Indeed.
I guess he deserves the accolade.
And Veronica, we saw Governor Obasani quite a long time ago, walked into a church. I think it was a Catholic or a Methodist church. I can't remember now, in Kaduna State, to join them in worship. And the people were so excited to see that. It was the first time, that happened in, Kaduna State. And so I'm not surprised the president is, saying that the governor is the architect of this peace. Peace is what Kaduna State needs for these kinds of progress to happen.
It goes to show that the reason why he was part of those that fought for our return to democracy is not in vain, because he knows that the people need to enjoy the dividends of democracy.
That's right.
And it begins with peace, because whatever it is you are bringing to the table for the people, if there is no peace, the people cannot enjoy it or get the benefits of it. I recall that we had that interview with him June the 12th, and we talked about his time while he was fighting for democracy and all of the resilience he put in, and how even the president also accorded him all the accolades that he deserves, and he was given one of the national honors as well. And so I am not surprised what he is doing in Kaduna State. Going to a church, it goes to tell you that he's not the governor of just one particular religion. He's the governor for everyone.
That's right.
That is what he's trying to preach. And so the people can trust him to say, you know what, he is with us. He is for us. He is not against us. So being able to carry everyone as the father of this state is important. You have diverse children who have different characters, and you are able to speak their language. They will want to work with you. And that's what they have shown. So that is why they are seeing these developments. And the president is also giving him the accolades for ensuring that he, as the leader of the state, is taking the state through the challenges, rising out of the challenges that they have been through, to establish them to becoming what they should be. And that is what we are seeing. I'm hoping that this peace that we are seeing, this development, lasts for a lifetime.
I think the people of Kaduna State have earned, the trust of their governor, and it's a really good thing. Or should I say the governor has earned the trust of his people?
No, he has earned the trust.
Right.
With the way he's mingling
He's gone
with
about
the people.
handling things, and that's a really wonderful thing. And we don't just want to see that in Kaduna State, we want to see that across the country, where our leaders earn the trust of the people and the people vice versa. The Guardian newspaper, Etoma, this morning, we're seeing here Ibas is alleging sabotage at budget defense as Senate reiterates democratic rule. I'm wondering, this is the sole administrator of Rivers State now. He's gone to present his budget, and he's saying sabotage. How?
Well, there are things he's seeing in Rivers State that we are not seeing. There are things he's perceiving that we are not perceiving. So, the story itself didn't really elaborate that well on the sabotage side of it. But you see, he's the one sitting down there. He's the one getting the heat or getting the flack, as the case may be. And he's saying, look, there's sabotage somewhere. And if the budget is for preparations to hand over to civil rule, I'm wondering why it is over 1 trillion naira. What do they want to take care of? However, he did the defense. The Senate seems to agree with him in most of the things that he put across to them. We'll just have to wait and see what happens next.
Indeed. And Veronica, on the Daily Independent, the same conversation flies into there. But look at this. The rider to the top, the headline here, we talked about rising insecurity. Tinubu NASA failed Nigerians. It says sole administrator must not conduct LG polls in Rivers. Now, if he is still the sole administrator of Rivers State and the time for the LG polls come, is he not allowed to conduct that?
Well, the Constitution, the president gave him the right to do the needful for the state.
That's right.
And so if it is time for him to ensure that the local government polls are done, then I believe that he has the powers to do so. He went to defend the budget, so why wouldn't he be able to go ahead with conducting that election, so to speak? It's important that we begin to situate things appropriately. The president gave him the powers to do everything he can to ensure...
With the backing of the National Assembly.
Yes, and the National Assembly backed it up to say, you know what, do the needful for the state for 6 months. Within that 6 months, whatever needs to be done for the state, then he has to do it. So whatever the challenges that are coming up now, is it that we did not understand it before time and we chose to start speaking about it now? Yes, we've been hearing this is that, and all of those stories. You hear people speaking about it. Even the budget he went to defend, he said that Fubara had already put that down before he came in and, you know, just began to adopt certain things within the budget, and then he had to defend it before the National Assembly. But if the president gave him the powers backed by the National Assembly, I do not see any reason why he shouldn't do the needful.
You know, some people are just arguing that he cannot, as a sole administrator, conduct a democratic process, you know, of electing local government leaders. But like you said,
he was given the powers.
Exactly, exactly. The News Direct is our next paper this morning, and quite right there, we have rescued a number of persons. The DHQ, you know, reeled out their scorecard. They seem to be saying, look, Nigerians, in the midst of all what you are hearing, this is the progress we have made thus far. Is this a good way to sing their own song?
Yeah, and I think they are singing their song a little bit late. They are allowing the other song to be louder than theirs, and they are not updating Nigerians about their successes and so on. And I don't know if that is a strategy, or the military strategy. If that is, then it's not working well. The numbers are impressive. Well, I must say that. They're impressive in 2 years, you know, but you see, this trust deficit that we keep talking about from the people and authority also comes to play here. You get, if that is the case, can you give us a monthly breakdown of your achievements? What I'm trying to say is that the DHQ should engage the people more.
And Veronica, let me take you to the. You want to say something about this?
No, go ahead.
Take you to the Daily Trust, and this is now on elections and politics. I don't know how many times we'll have to talk about this. I mean, I was thinking probably this is not even an issue on the table, but Tinubu to choose running mate after convention. This is quoting the presidency. Veronica, should I ask, is that even a conversation to be had?
I don't know.
Some of this story. I don't know. You know?
It shouldn't, because some headlines, it just baffles you. Why is this making a headline?
I mean,
because it is not a problem. Why make a mountain out of a molehill? He hasn't complained to you that he wants to change his running mate. So why are we digging what is not? Why are we just trying to find feast-on stories that are not? They are pressing matters to talk about, right? They are pressing matters to push. Definitely. Yes, the convention will happen next year, and then if he chooses to have a running mate, fine, that's his decision. And if he chooses not to, that is also his decision. But let's stop pushing narratives that would not help the polity, that would not help the party, that would not help the people, that would shift our focus from governance. And it is important that we understand what it is at the end of the day that we are trying to achieve. Yes, they spoke with Sunday Diary, who told them that, but must you hold Sunday Diary at the jugular to tell us something? What's going on?
Right.
Because of what had happened, I think it was last year, where the person missed mentioning the name of the vice president, and people began to make noise about it. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem.
If it is not a problem, then why is it politics?
Why is it politicized?
Why is it politics?
Oh, okay.
The whole idea is to create some kind of controversy, you know, to create some kind of buzz, you know. Well, yes, it is a distraction, but these guys are only interested in the politics. That is why they are pushing the narrative.
Well,
you know, we have very strong, very, very urgent and important things that we should be focusing on, and we're talking about the president's running mate that will happen next year. We're having problems today, my dear. We're talking about the presidential running mate.
It beats me, really.
You know?
and the duo of the president and the vice president are going about their business, doing what they are supposed to do for Nigerians. And here are some persons,
way
like
to
you said,
react to this.
Let them talk. Let's when there is none at all.
You know, let the political. I don't want to use some words, you know.
Yeah, let's leave it like that.
let them do their talking. We will do our work. That's the attitude.
And still staying on the Daily Trust, Etoma, the defense chief, even though, you know, Veronica had raised, some objection to some of the things he said, you know, he's been quoted here as saying residents harbored killers and gave them food. Is that supposed to be something maybe a defense chief should have said publicly? That's some kind of an intelligence.
Yes, it is intelligence, but it also underscores how serious the situation is. You know, some days back, I alluded to the fact that I think this continuous killing in Benue State is political. If not, how come nobody has been arrested? How come they are finding it so difficult to solve the problem? You know, I said that. And this statement that the defense chief has said is sort of agrees with me. The man is telling you that even though what they are doing is really bad, there are people in Benue State that are aiding and abetting these guys. It has a lot of political coloration around it. And I think that's why he's coming out to say things like this.
Well,
it's important that some of these conversations may be in the defense of his people, so that it wouldn't seem like they are not doing their jobs.
Not doing anything, yeah.
Because where Yorubas will say, I hope I speak this Yoruba well now. Yorubas will say, kokoro tonje for ara for lower, something like that.
That's right.
So like the worm that is eating the leaves, the vegetable is on the body of the vegetable, something like that. So it is so that you that want to treat and deal with certain things, if the people within are covering them, it will be difficult for you to work and achieve the results you need to achieve at the end of the day. But however, my concern is, now that you have made this statement, if these people come and carry out reprisals that someone has spoken, recall that some time ago, some years ago, farmers were killed in one of the northern states, in the northeast, because they spoke. They gave information to the military and they were killed as a result of that. So it's important that as the military, whatever strategy you're putting in place, certain information shouldn't be divulged. Why? Because these people, number one, are helpless, so to speak. They cannot defend themselves. Do we know if they were under pressure to give these people cover, to give them food, to offer them women, as is being reported?
Yes.
Do we know the situation around the things that made them do what they did? We need to understand these matters and situate them appropriately and know how to manage information.
That's right.
I think that he shouldn't have mentioned it.
Yeah.
That's my own perspective.
I agree with you.
Because information management is critical in times like this.
Yeah.
So you can strategize. Now, everybody in that locality is a suspect. And if these people go back to say they want to fight and, you know, deal with whoever, those who gave the information, they don't know who it is. They do not know. Everyone is a suspect, so everyone is at risk.
Exactly.
So it's important we know how we manage information, how we speak. It's not sitting well with me, I must say.
I mean, if I were the defense chief, I will not divulge such an information because, again, it would put the lives of the people at risk. Maybe use it to strategize and to plan and not to come tell the world that this is what happened. But, well, maybe they know exactly how else to go about this. But the Blueprint newspaper is where we are going to next. We see the itemized project that was commissioned in Kaduna State. We've spoken about that. And the FCT advert is also still there, where the president will commission some more projects within the FCT as well. We're waiting to see more of that. Let's quickly make our way to the Nigerian Tribune, and we see something right here. The conferment of awards by the president. Some persons were missed, and the president had to quickly bring Dangiwa Umar on the list. And I said earlier, I was jokingly saying, I'm hoping to receive one myself. I mean, you know.
Yes. I want to commend Mr. President for admitting that he did not mention all the names that he was supposed to mention, even though you and I know that these things are thought of and handed over to him, and that he remembers that Dangiba has to be honored is good, and congratulations to the gentleman.
And Veronica, honor awards like this, you know, goes to appreciate the persons who have done what they've done. But I'm thinking, shouldn't we also move that just away not only in, should I say, people who fought for democracy, and as the case may be, there are quite a number of Nigerians who are still doing great work across the country in different spheres.
Are you trying
life.
to speak for yourself? Is that what
Well, I'm also a Nigerian who is doing a great job as yourself. Yes.
Okay, this matters, of course. The president, in his wisdom, knows those who he feels should get these kinds of award for their contribution, especially this group of persons that he awarded this time around.
That's right.
Were persons who fought for our democracy, just like Colonel Umar Dangiwa retired as we speak. We know that if you did not fight for democracy, your name cannot be there. So you shouldn't, even though some person said, well, if they had written my name there, they had called me, I would have rejected it, I would have done this, I would have done that. But the president knows those who were on the ground ensuring that Nigerians get the democracy they deserve at the time that they fought together. And so that is why he's awarding them. And next year, perhaps we'll see a different crop of persons who have done some things in other areas beyond fighting for our democracy, because June the 12th is a symbol of democracy. Perhaps that's why he decided to award those persons during this time, the persons that fought for democracy. Last year, we saw a different group of persons that he awarded. So next year, we are looking forward to some persons, including yourself. Your name might be there.
Well, Mr. President.
Who have done so well for the country. But congratulations to this crop of persons that now got the award. Colonel Dangiwa Umar, who is said to be a soldier of democracy, a former governor of Kaduna State. He deserves it because he also was part of those who made his name, who wrote his name on the sands of time during the fight for democracy. So kudos to the president for acknowledging the fact that he forgot some names, because some persons would not acknowledge. And he brought this up. Absolutely,
absolutely. Well said, Veronica. And this Nigeria is where we're going to next. The conversation on food inflation. State governors move to scrap illegal checkpoints, multiple levies. Etoma, if you travel across the country, especially down this part, you find a lot of checkpoints along the way.
Every 100 meters.
You know? but that's not really the case in some part of the north. Now, the levies conversation comes in from these terrorists who levy our farmers before they go into the farms. And I'm wondering why that even needed to take, should I say, some time before the governors are coming up to say no more levies. The levies shouldn't have even been there in the first place.
Well, the levies they are talking about right now are levies that they collect at checkpoints. You know, these checkpoints are not just manned by the police. They are also manned by the customs, manned by soldiers, manned by forestry people, manned by state government officials that are checking out people that are freighting food stuff from one place to the other. There are checkpoints for almost all kinds. And these checkpoints are so many. At each checkpoint, the driver or the owner of the cargo is made to Roger.
And
all that is transferred to the unit price of the goods.
Of course.
So you and I are the ones that end up holding the short end of the stick. Right now we are having insecurity. We are having bandits asking for tax before our people can go to their farms. We are having all sorts of things that is making food production a little bit difficult. We are still talking about Benue State. That is the food basket of Nigeria. And we now still have to contend with these checkpoints. What the governors are saying is good, but it's just one item that is affecting this thing. They should look at it holistically and try to address everything. Security, the checkpoints, you know, farm inputs, supporting the farmers in one way or the other, getting financial institutions involved in Nigerian agriculture, and so on. They should look at it holistically and push for it, not just the checkpoints only.
Indeed. Veronica, I was thinking that the reason for security operatives and any other uniform agency being on the highways and any other way was for the term security. So how did we snowball from being there for security to being rogered?
You have to use this term. Okay, so each state, right, institute levies for persons who pass through them. Okay. Whatever you are carrying, you must pay. And that is why these people were positioned in such areas. So if you are carrying food, for instance, you have passed perhaps a police checkpoint, you meet some persons, an agency from within the state, who will tell you, because you are passing our state, you have to pay this money or your truck will not move. That's what it is. So it's good they are looking at themselves in the eye to tell themselves, this thing that we are doing is now transferring to, because that is how they generate revenue. Internally generated revenue come from things like this. So it's critical that if they are looking at, oh, what we are doing is now affecting food inflation, that perhaps we need to review. That's the word they are trying to put. That's what they are trying to do. We need to review this matter. Now, how will those agencies survive? If you say you want to perhaps remove these levies and you are calling them illegal, who put these agencies together in the first place? Is it the local government? Who are they working with? So we need, it is different levels of investigation that has to be taken to know that, okay, this levy that you are getting, what are you even using it to do for the state?
Oh, well.
That's a different ballgame.
No, it's part of it, so that we know that if we are pulling it out, we know how we cover for it at the end of the day. And we know how to sustain that agency if they have to focus on something else, because these people will lose their jobs and they become nuisance. They constitute nuisance to the state. So it's important they look at it holistically, because it can cause problems like insecurity for the state themselves. This is where these people get their monies and survive. So what do you want to do?
If you remove this bread from their mouth.
We know, we understand ourselves.
If you remove the bread, you have to look for biscuits and put them.
So it's good the state governors are talking about it. Let them have a roundtable conversation as to how they want to move forward with it.
That's right. Well, we'll wait to see exactly what that decision would be as we make our way to the Platform Times. And we see that is the same header right there on the Platform Times. But Thomas, there's something I'd like us to touch on, quoting the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum. Borno received over 300,000 repentant Boko Haram members in 4 years. The governor is saying this is what happened. Is this some kind of good news?
I have always
I've
always been skeptical when you tell me that a terrorist that has killed, that has
maimed lives,
maimed and done those, is repentant. For me, that repentance has a big question mark.
Right.
And then you have 400,000 of them in one state.
And Veronica, we've seen reports, some of this repentant, terrorists who, after a while, went back into the forest. So that question mark, Etoma, just raised now, it becomes a risk to the lives of people because they've come back into the community. Isn't this a strategy?
Integrate them.
Isn't this a strategy to gain intelligence of the new strategies of security agencies of government and then go back to feed it?
That's the concern a majority of Nigerians have. That these persons, how were they debriefed in such a way that you now feel that, oh, they are okay enough to be called repentant, and you are ready to engage them and then reintegrate them back into society, where they see persons or people see them that, oh, you killed my family member, you did this, you did that, you maimed us and all. We need to be strategic in dealing with these matters. At some point, there were reports that some persons who claimed they were repentant were demanding for some monies that the government had promised to be paying them.
And yet
monthly,
they were repentant.
And they were repentant, but the monies were not coming as they wanted it to, because you need to engage them.
Yeah.
They have been engaged in some sort of activity, and so when you leave them, an idle mind, they said, is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
So they return to becoming whatever it is you want to call them at the end of the day. So it's important that we look at how we situate these things appropriately, so we do not just say we are reintegrating persons who are not repentant.
And as we would make our way to the sporting life, but there's something here, Veronica. This is quoting Osime. He said, I once washed gutters for 30 naira to survive. My God, this is so little wonder if it's now been bargained over some huge billions of dollars. He deserves it.
Everybody has a grass to grace story, right? And I like the fact that he's not forgetting his grass to grace story. I think he also sold bread. And all of it. So he remembers that. That's why his uncles recall were saying, we were part of those that contributed to, you know, some things your family wanted to do at some point. Don't forget us like this. But he's back home, still mingling with a number of people. I hope he goes to visit those his uncles. But he's doing well for himself. And Galatasaray is insisting now that he needs to be quick with making a decision. They are saying that they are willing to increase his earnings from 12 million euros to about 15 per year. And he is saying that he's taking his time because he wants to enjoy his holiday and also think through all that, how Galatasaray has helped him grow and all of it. Liverpool is on his neck, breathing down his neck, and Galatasaray is here saying, we are willing to do that. My concern for Galatasaray is if they can sustain this monies that they are willing to pay over the years. Because it's not just that you begin to pay and then at some point you tell them, guy, money no deal, you go understand with me, take this one. It's not going to happen.
Osime, if you might borrow my brains to help you think this thing, bro, because, you know, man.
You need to get some share of those money.
You're just thinking 15 million euros.
I need to get some share, man.
What about the long term? That's why the gentleman is taking his time. He has to think of how whatever decision he takes now will help his career. You know? Let's move on.
Absolutely.
But that's how far we can take you on the newspaper review this morning. But